Okay, so got the absorber all put back on here and everything put back together. So I thought what we could do, and this week I really don't have a lot of time. I got another project coming in that I don't think I'm going to be making a video about, so might need to take a break from YouTube for a little while. Maybe. We'll see how that goes. But for now that I've got this put back together, why don't we start with, go back to where we were before we had that bearing noise there. And we'll do a couple of things. We'll run this, we'll try out the coupler for a little bit longer, put some load on it, and run it at different speeds, stuff like that. At the same time, we'll be listening for the bearing and see if that noise got corrected. Just in general, keep an eye on things and see how we turned out with this one. So let me start it, warm it up a little bit, run it around a little bit, and see how we do. holds the throttle. The thing that throttles the water out of the absorber blew off. That's what that was. Alright, kind of had enough for now. Okay, so there's the hose that blew off. And that's the first time that's ever happened to me. And I think, well, probably what caused that to happen was, if you've been following along with my channel here, you remember, like, it was like early spring probably, I bought a new water pump for this, and today's the first time I've ever used that, and it's apparently got more pressure and more water flow than my than the garden hose did. It was either that or I just didn't get this on here tight enough. And kind of what I need is like something there with like a bead on it, so that it can't just slide off of there like that. Let me get that back on there and we can try again. Okay, so to kind of prevent what happened before from happening again, I really tightened those down good and I double clamped them on each one. So hopefully that's secured in place now, and hopefully I don't have that problem again. And then while I'm stopped, I disconnected the drive shaft from the absorber, because I noticed when I first put it together and I'd turn it, there'd be a spot where it was kind of tight, and you might have noticed when I first started it up, it was getting about 20 foot-pounds of torque, maybe a little bit more, maybe I can't remember what it was, but it was like between 20 and 30 foot-pounds without any water in the absorber. My best guess there is maybe because when I glued the bearings into place, maybe some of that Loctite got between the bearing and the housing, like the inner part of it. You know, that part of it might have gotten in between it and this, and caused some friction there that worked its way loose. And then the other thing is I re-glued those washers that go on the end of the rotor. You'll have to go back and look at the previous video, but there's washers, large ones about, I don't know, like 4 inches in diameter, that go on the end of the rotor. I had those glued in place before, and I noticed one of them came unglued, and I had them glued in with silicone. And I re-glued them in, and it's possible that the silicone took up some space between the rotor and the stator, so maybe there was a little bit of a tiny bit of interference there. But what I'm seeing is that the problem, after that little bit of running I did, that tight spot is gone. So let me put it back together and we'll do a little bit more running and see how we do. letting the engine run out of fuel right now, and it seems like in the past, that's kind of where I got that noise in there to be the loudest. I can still kind of hear it, but it's nothing like it used to be. It's a lot better. It is so much better. As usual, I had problems this time. So we had that problem back there. Then it feels to me like that that tightness inside the absorber, whatever, there was a little bit of a clearance problem. What I think that probably was some of that Loctite that I put in there probably was causing that a little bit, and maybe it's going to work itself out. All I really wanted to do today was get everything warmed up, run it around a little bit, bring it up to speed, and the idea was to do a little bit more testing on that that flexible coupling that's there, which, fingers crossed, seems to be okay, and it seems to have quieted down the noise in the driveline a bit, and the Loctite that I put between the bearings and the absorber seems to have gotten rid of that other screeching noise that it was making before. So, and then the other thing I did there, which might have been a mistake, but I put a little bit of Loctite between the shaft and the inner race of the bearing. The thing seems to be working quite a lot better than it did before. Basically what I'm going to do is just, whenever I have something new like this, I just keep a really close eye on it. I'm afraid this is about where I'm going to have to wrap it up. So I guess that's about all I got for you this week, and I'll see you next time.